Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you a series of updates from HPE Discover Las Vegas, which took place about a month ago. So thanks, everyone, for joining today. This is really intended to be, a high-level overview, but certainly we welcome any questions that you have, and we'll do our best to address them during the session, or potentially handle them as a follow-up if we need to, depending upon the complexity and depth of the question. My name is Harris Schneiderman. I lead our hybrid cloud operations practice here in Australia, so very nice to be here today. I'd also like to introduce my two co-presenters. So first and foremost, we have Rishi Sharda, who manages our observability team. Welcome, Rishi. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Harris. Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone here. Based out of Sydney, so I take care of the APJ observability pre-sales across.
Awesome. Thanks, Rishi. And we also have Jonathan Vernick, who's one of our storage architects. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you, Harris, for the introduction. And yeah, nice to be on the call today. We'll just take you through a bit of the latest storage updates within the Discover call that we just had. So yeah, looking forward to going through it today.
Terrific, terrific. All right, well, let's get into it. I would encourage everyone during the session, please feel free to post any questions to the chat or the Q&A section. We'll do our best to address them as we go, but I'll also leave some time at the end if people want to ask a live question or have a little bit more of a discussion, feel free. And all of these slides, as you'll notice as I go through them, they will have little embargo tags on them, basically meaning, hey, you're not allowed to share this information. This was all pre-release before Discover, but since Discover has now taken place, all this information is now public. So I will be happy to make these slides available, and you're welcome to use them however you need going forward, okay? So this is the agenda that I plan to cover. I'm going to try to, give you the highlights of the announcements that we made at Discover in Las Vegas in the following areas. And so we'll go through each one of those one by one, and we'll get through as many of them as we can, okay? All right, so just before I start, I just want to kind of make a case of why I think this is really important. So first of all, thank you for coming to this webinar, but I want to let you know why, what I'd like you to focus on today. So first and foremost, the question I get most often from customers and partners is, what is HPE's roadmap? What is HPE planning to do as a company for the next 6 to 12 months? Discover is the best way to understand that. And if you weren't able to go to Discover, which many of us were not, then understanding what was announced at Discover is really important, because these events get a lot of press coverage, and we'll talk about that. There was a lot of announcements in the news based upon things that we said at Discover. But this is really the best way to get a view into what's brand new and what's coming very soon. So if you're a customer on this webinar, think about which of these announcements would benefit you individually and, in terms of your job and, your overall business. And if you're a partner, think about how it could benefit your business or your end customers. And so if any of these topics appeal to you and you want to have a deeper dive, please let us know, give us feedback, because we use that to run other webinars, of course, and to do, one-on-one sessions. So if that's of interest for any of these topics, please let us know, and I'll make sure that we get the appropriate specialist to come and speak with you, okay? All right, so let's get started. We'll start with HPC and AI in terms of the announcements. So some of you may be aware, HPE has a platform called the HPE Nonstop, which is a platform for many critical workloads, such as in financial services. There's a capability around helping stop fraud in terms of monitoring transactions. We can also use deep learning models to be able to make real-time decisions about data. And we have new capabilities for Nonstop to make the infrastructure self-healing and automatically compliant. We also have some announcements around our HPE AI Factory that we now support confidential computing to keep AI data secret. Companies are building larger and larger data lakes and data warehouses to power AI, and this data is high value, and so therefore is a target for malicious actors. We also can support, various different hardware platforms in terms of, the newest NVIDIA GPUs, DPUs, and SuperNICs, and also support for the QFX switches and the Apstra Managed Fabric integration. And then we're also doing some exciting things in the era of quantum computing. We have collaborations with a number of partners, as you can see here. And we're looking at what are called hybrid architectures, where it's a combination of quantum computing and traditional computing working together. We also have some exciting announcements that we made at ISC 26 around our Slingshot 400 platform that now supports multi-tenancy, which allows you to partition it for sovereign AI use cases. We support client-side encryption on our HPE Cray storage systems, and we also have expanded availability of our platforms across Cray, ProLiant, NVIDIA in terms of the technologies that we have. And we have, been granted a number of awards, not just for the fastest computers in the world, but also some of the greenest systems. So, we're seeing a change in that market, that it's not just about speed, but it's also about your environmental footprint. And so we're really pleased to have won some awards across our customers and partners in that space. Now, moving on, let's talk a little bit about hybrid cloud. Obviously, a big focus with our hybrid cloud announcements were around these pillars. So first of all, we're introducing more intelligence in terms of our operations of those private cloud platforms. I'll talk a bit about that today. We've made investments in our agentic workflows and how you can build and execute those using agents in your private cloud environment. And then, of course, a number of investments in self-driving networks using AI. Now, we'll talk about a couple of different areas under the hybrid cloud banner. So first of all, we'll cover our private cloud AI platform. I'll talk about Morpheus and OpsRamp and the new announcements there. And then some announcements around both GreenLake Intelligence and our ability to sell and transact third-party products with customers through the GreenLake marketplace. Now, in the topic of AI, we have an AI workbench that allows you to build models, create agents, connect those models to various data sources, manage the deployment pipelines of those models, and monitor and govern the access and usage. So this screenshot here shows you that AI workbench and a series of deployments that this customer has done and their status. And this is really our new platform for our customers to build, deploy, and scale their AI investments. So our AI platform, it's not just a collection of hardware, it's a full solution, including the software and integrations necessary to build a full production solution. Now, there's some key pieces that underpin that. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit later about the underlying data platform that powers private cloud AI, which is the Alletra MP X10K. Jonathan's going to speak about that today. I'm also going to speak about how you can scale your inferencing environment to move from a pilot to production and to be able to scale the number of GPUs in that environment. And then the NVIDIA software that comes built into our private cloud AI platform and what comes included in that. Now, this is a screenshot of some of the new capabilities in private cloud AI. So as you can see, we're including NVIDIA OpenShell, NVIDIA NeMo Studio, Run AI and Kai Schedule are available to allow you to pool your GPUs and do fractional sharing of those. And we support the latest RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell GPUs and H200 are all supported in this environment. And private cloud AI can now scale up to 256 GPUs as demand grows. So you can start small and you can both scale up within a rack. So this diagram here shows you some of the typical models of private cloud AI that we offer. So you can scale up within a rack, and then we also have a scale out rack as well. So you can expand if you exceed the size of your initial purchase. So with that, I'll hand over to Jonathan, and he can tell us more about the Alletra Storage MPX 10K.
Easy. Appreciate it, Harris. And yeah, while we'll be going through the X10000 in this slide, we'll also be going through the wider portfolio of the private cloud. So on screen, so we're seeing today, a shift from a primary use case of AI is less about training, but rather it's more important on the inferencing today, the question and response when on already trained LLMs. The highly performant X10000 is actually, it's actually a fun fact, but it's the first storage system on the planet that's been certified by NVIDIA for inferencing. So from a high level, the X10000 is the fundamental backbone of the HPE private cloud AI that Harris touched on just before, which is the all-flash NVMe form factor, disaggregated architecture, utilizing a KV or key value cache to allow for complex chats and accelerated responsiveness. Within the X10000 as well, we also have the ability to build a single global federated namespace across an entire distributed environment to ensure or make this data instantly usable for AI. We also embed the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, which acts as a native translator between autonomous AI and your underlying storage systems. Unlike the traditional vendors, our file and object storage are not stacked on top of one another. So we are using, a slow or emulated approach. They actually run independently of one another on a unified engine. So this allows us to ensure that we serve file and also object pipelines independently of one another, or also as first-class citizens to achieve maximum performance, reliability, and NVMe level speed simultaneously. Crucially, all of this is then managed seamlessly through the unified HPE GreenLake platform. It delivers operational consistencies for your IT teams, giving your developers the flexibility to run and swap out virtually any open source large language models they choose for that inferencing piece that we touched on early on within your private cloud AI environment. So moving on to the next slide. So having talked about that private cloud for AI, there's also other use cases within the private cloud portfolio to mix and match to suit customers' use cases of what they're trying to achieve. So if we start on the very left-hand side, the HPE SimpliVity PC1000, the PC1000 is the name that we use for it today and was formerly known as HPE SimpliVity, which is our hyper-converged system, also known as HCI, which allows or has, the seamless and easy deployment. We have the inbuilt backup policies and also primarily used for edge or remote sites. And then if we move across, we've got the PC3000, which was formerly known as our PCBE or DHCI, disaggregated hyperconverged infrastructure, which allows for that scaling of compute and storage independently of one another. And this is usually found or run within core data centers. And if you think about it, PC3000 acts as our very own dedicated private cloud appliance for running virtual machine environments or virtual machines or virtual environments. And then we have the PC7000, which was formerly known as our private cloud enterprise, also short for PCE, for the large enterprises running a wide variety of workloads across their stack. So that's not only VMs that we talked about that you can do a PC1000 and 3000, but also containers and bare metals, under which is managed by HPE or through a partner with financially backed SLAs similar to cloud providers, where we provide service credits or penalties if we don't meet operational SLAs within the environment. Today, with HPE Discover, post HPE Discover, today the PC3000, so PC3000 and PC1000, which was formerly known as a SimpliVity, can only be offered exclusively through our channel partners, which is an exciting update as well, as it is now a channel-based motion to get this product out to customers. If we go next slide, please, Harris. Discover as well, we now have PC3000, so that's our disaggregated hyperconverged infrastructure that scales compute and storage independently, now offers compatibility with our latest Gen 12 servers, which now allows for ILO 7, which allows for that enhanced security. We have faster memory, drives, and also ability to use the latest Intel and AMD model chips and a wider variety of GPUs, which is all underpinned, because that's being the compute for the Gen 12, or underpinned by our storage, which is our HPE Alletra B10000 range, which have the ability to run production-ready virtualized workloads that comes with the whole array of guarantees, such as 100% data availability, cyber resilience guarantee, data reduction, and so on. Within the PC3000, we have many customers. Harris, if we just move to the next slide, please. We have many customers running, mission critical environments today. With one of the main features we're seeing in virtualized environment, customers needing the ability to fail over in seconds. So, within our portfolio, it's critical for us to deliver the same or better availability than the other hypervisors at a fraction of a price. So with Discover, but also the latest release of Zerto update, we now have DR capability, allowing for cross-site replication with our very own HVM hypervisor, which is called HVM, but it's built on top. Some of you might know it as VM Essentials, which is the manager of the hypervisor, which is HVM, which is built on KVM. So having a look on the slide itself, we have two HVM managed environments with the underlying virtualization manager being HVN, and those are the hosts. And then within that, we also have the Alletra MP, which is the underpinning storage to serve block workloads. So for the continuous replication to run smoothly, we've got the ZVM. You'll see the ZVN on both sites, which is the brains for handling day-to-day operations like protection, replication, and failovers. And then you've got the VRAs as well, which do the heavy lifting, being the data movers between the two sites. So today for PC3000, PC3000 running HVM as the virtualization layer, the replication we can do is then VME to VME and also VMware to VME, and you can protect in both directions as well. So ensuring that the DR side does not remain idle, where you can have active workloads and support bi-directional replication between sites. So to conclude the storage announcements, we're now going to have a look at Zerto. So Zerto from PC3000, also as a standalone. So since the acquisition of Zerto in 2021, the disaster recovery and cyber resiliency that Zerto provides has been going, I would like to say from strength to strength with the following core functionalities. So you guys might know Zerto for its CDP or continuous data protection for your production virtual machines, where you can set checkpoints every 5 to 10 seconds to ensure for that granular recovery, if there was cyber attacks. Within that, we then introduced Zerto Cyber Resiliency Vault, which provides a highly secure, isolated air-gapped environment to ensure you always have an uncorrupted copy of your core applications to rebuild from. And then with the latest Discover announcements, we've now added guardrails against AI agents. As we know that companies are now utilizing more and more agents to handle workflows, it can now become a new attack vector for companies. So with that in mind, and agents who can then protrude or add as bad actors, Zerto now allows for the protection of rogue agents through the native integration of NVIDIA Agent Toolkit, which is the Nebo claw that we see and the open claw to ensure appropriate permission measures are put into place for these agents. And similar to PC 1000 and 3000 being channel-led sales motion, Zerto as well is now sold exclusively through our channel partners as well. Yeah, and that wraps up really the storage piece. And I'm going to now hand over to Rishi to take through the observability piece.
Thanks, Jonathan. So observability piece in hybrid cloud software is actually covered by HPE OpsRamp. Now, OpsRamp essentially covers your full stack observability in a hybrid environment. For those of you who are new to this, essentially, whether you have workloads and infrastructure on-prem, or you have it in public cloud, or you have it in a cloud service provider, you can monitor all your environments, starting from your infrastructure all the way to the cloud services, to the workloads that are running, getting inside the operating systems and getting a full stack observability using OpsRamp. So in this Discover, Harris, if you could move to the next slide, please. So we've made major advancements from an AI perspective. So we've tried to make this platform more AI friendly and with more AI in it. So there is AI ops that we've added to it. We've added natural language assistance for root cause analysis. So essentially, what you could do is ask the agent inside the platform, you know, what are the my top alerts that are going on? What is the root cause for this particular alert? So the agent is good, and it's different agents that we've got. So you can have an agent for something like if you need to set up a new integration, you could do that. If you need to do some sort of, you would need to create a dashboard, or you need to root cause something, or you need to close out tickets, or you need to build automation. So the platform comes with an automation platform built into it, right? So this really helps our customers who have a varied environment with varied HP products to kind of bring everything together from an observability point of view. One of the key things that we've announced in this HPE's Discover is we're also, so this was traditionally a SaaS solution, but now we're also working towards an on-prem solution for this. And to double click on the AI part, Harris, if you could move to the next slide. From an AI perspective, we've added capability for AI server monitoring, which means not just your CPU memory, but your GPUs, your AI clusters, your fabric interconnects, your power, network disk, right? So the whole idea is to essentially give you not just from a traditional sense, yes, you could monitor the traditional server, but in the new world where you have AI servers which have GPUs, CPUs, and Harris, if you can move to the next slide. So you can essentially get from workload to infrastructure complete visibility. So if you look at your workloads which are running in the modern environment, they're running in an environment where there is a mix of uh, Kubernetes, there's mix of AI workloads and models that are running on it. Underneath there is AI infrastructure like the server and the GPUs and the fabric interconnect and the NVLink and all those things, right? Which is then connected to your storage, which Jonathan was just talking about. So giving you a whole end-to-end view from the workload all the way to the infrastructure. So now this is what we've doubled down on. So this is what we announced. We are supporting NVIDIA GPUs, we are supporting NVIDIA InfiniBand, Ethernet fabrics, and the NVIDIA Bright clusters as well. So out of the box, not just that you can monitor, and the setup is really easy. So essentially, when you deploy this, there is an auto discovery that is happening. So just connecting it to your box, everything is discovered for you automatically and then mapped for you. So to give you an example, how this would look like in your environment, the kind of dashboards and the kind of visibility that you can get, uh, you can create a dashboard like this where you start with your workload, the model that's running. So here you can see there's a model that's running. We are monitoring the model. So we are also monitoring the tokens that are you using. We are monitoring the way your model is happening. So essentially complete end-to-end visibility with not just the actual workload, but that's there, but also from a token perspective, how many tokens you're using in the model as well. If you want to monitor the metrics, that's also there. You can then correlate that with the Kubernetes environment that might be there, the clusters on which the Kubernetes is running, and then Harris, if you can move forward. Then looking at the GPU monitoring, the network monitoring, essentially going down to the infrastructure. So you're able to correlate the complete stack from your workload, getting inside your workload, all the way down to your pure play infrastructure. Now, this is giving you the metrics, but there are times where you want to visualize things, how they're laid out as well, right? So we do have topology mapping as well. So if you look at how your stack is looking from a mapping perspective, where the workloads are running, where your virtual assistants are running, where your Llama workloads are running, where your SQL coders are running, all those, and which pods are they connected to, what GPUs and CPUs are they running on, what is the network fabric interconnect that they're connected to, and ultimately going down to the storage. So you can also visualize your complete AI environment. So this Discover in observability area, we've really doubled down on the focus on AI within the platform and giving our customers a complete visibility of their future AI environment so that from the word go, they have the end-to-end visibility as in when it comes to observability using HPE OpsRam. That's it from an observability point of view. Harris, back to you.
Thanks, Rishi, and thanks, Jonathan. Great stuff. And if anyone has any questions for Rishi or Jonathan, they'll be sticking around. We'll take some questions at the end. Feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A section. Okay, so now let's shift gears, keeping in the theme of cloud ops. We'll talk about the third component of the cloud ops platform, which is Morpheus. And one of the announcements that we made at Discover this year is that Morpheus now has 3 editions instead of 2. So you may be familiar with VM Essentials and Enterprise, which you see here, but now we have an intermediate edition called Advanced. And I'll talk for a minute about why we created that edition and why we think it's important for customers. So the big thing we wanted to help customers with is make it easier for them to transition from their current virtualization provider to ours. And the way to do that is to make sure that we have aligned SKUs that match with the capabilities. Okay, so that's the reason for the 3 edition structure. So VM Essentials is really designed for those customers, let's say in a VMware context, whose requirements are around running vCenter. They need to be able to provision VMs and manage them. That's who VM Essentials is intended for. And as you're probably aware, Broadcom no longer sells a standalone vCenter SKU. So for many customers, VM Essentials is the perfect solution because it has exactly the capabilities they need, and HP is not forcing them to buy something else that maybe they don't. But of course, there are customers who need the features and capabilities of VMware VVF, and that's who we built Morpheus Advanced for. So Morpheus Advanced has VM management on VMware's hypervisor and our own HVM, but it also adds container capabilities via Kubernetes. Okay, so for those customers who need more than just VM management, they also need Kubernetes. Morpheus Advanced is a really great fit, and for those customers running VVF. Enterprise still remains our most capable edition of Morpheus, and it includes all the features and capabilities of Advanced and Essentials. We add support for other hypervisors beyond VMware and HVM. We add public cloud support, and we also add multi-tenancy, which is very important. One of the other new announcements, which we'll cover, is that Enterprise now has a software-defined networking and micro-segmentation capability, similar to what VMware offers with NSX. And so again, if you're a VMware customer today running VCF, if you're using NSX or something similar, Morpheus Enterprise is really going to be the best option for you. So we've increased the number of editions of Morpheus, but the goal is to make it easier for customers to transition into our platform without a loss of capability. Now, we also made an exciting announcement around Morpheus 9, which is our latest release of Morpheus. And I think it's worth noting that, following the acquisition of Morpheus 2 years ago, we've continued that path of innovation. Morpheus 9 is the biggest and most exciting release of Morpheus we've done in some time, and there's a lot of great new capabilities in there, which I'll talk about. So the first one, which Jonathan alluded to earlier, is the ability to have a stretched cluster utilizing HVM as the hypervisor. So HVM, again, is HPE's hypervisor. It stands for HPE KVM. And HVM is included with every edition of Morpheus. So whether you're running VM Essentials, Advanced, or Enterprise Edition, you have an entitlement to HVM, and you have the ability to build and operate a stretch cluster that can span 2 physical locations. So this is a capability that many of our customers are using today with VMware. Of course, that capability is still supported in VMware, but now we've extended it to be able to use HVM as well. Another use case that you can think about is a migration use case. So, stretch clustering is about high availability. This, migration use case could be maybe I'm running VMware in one environment, and maybe I've got HVM in my secondary environment, and I can use Morpheus and Zerto to do the conversion and movement of those VMs as part of my migration process. Okay. To that end, we've also integrated Morpheus with both Zerto and Veeam. So you can use Veeam for backup. We support both image-based and agent-based backups. Those are now supported in the latest edition of Veeam on our virtualization platform, HVM. And we have support for Zerto to work with HVM. So again, you can use Zerto for high availability, or you can use Zerto as a tool to migrate and convert your VMs to HVM. In addition, we're expanding the capabilities of Morpheus to appeal to a wider variety of groups. There are really 2 principal groups who use Morpheus. There are infrastructure folks who, by and large, tend to prefer working through a user interface, a graphical user interface. And then Morpheus is also used by developers and DevOps folks who generally prefer to work at a command line or through a CLI interface or something like that. And so Morpheus is designed to appeal to both. We want you to be able to use it in the way that is most comfortable for you. But we recognize that if you're not a developer and maybe you're not comfortable building workflows in code, we now have a visual workflow builder, which is a no-code drag and drop interface. So we want to make the power of Morpheus accessible to everyone so they can really use the automation capabilities. And so now we've made it available for those who can write code and those who can't, which is really great. So we're trying to be extremely inclusive and make the platform as easy to use as possible. We've also found that customers are now deploying Morpheus to large distributed environments. And much like the architectures that our customers have with VMware vCenter, there are many examples where there are multiple instances of Morpheus and vCenter floating around an organization. And customers felt like it would be valuable to have those managed centrally. And so we introduced and announced Morpheus Central at Discover, which is basically a cloud-based management console to allow you to manage all of your instances of Morpheus centrally. So, imagine you have a distributed environment. Maybe you're a retailer and you have, stores all over the place, or, maybe you have multiple hospitals or factories or whatever the case may be. You can have Morpheus deployed locally and manage it centrally through Morpheus Central. Now, there's a lot of other, great announcements around Morpheus 9. We'll certainly do a deep dive on that in the future if people are interested. But I think that's a really good overview of some of the exciting features there. Now, I'm going to tease this a bit. There were some offers that we announced at Discover this year, which got a lot of attention. It's very exciting that we did that. There was quite a few, and so I'm going to give you a quick overview today, but I also want to do a plug for the next webinar that we're going to do. I'll make an announcement at the end where we're going to go in depth on these offers, but I wanted to share them with you as a highlight. The offers are here. So number 1 is called the VME Migration Advantage, and this is really for customers who I think quite correctly recognize that changing your virtualization platform isn't something you do overnight. It can take weeks or months and requires careful planning. And so what we wanted to do is give customers the ability to start that planning and migration in advance of the expiration of their current contract for their current virtualization stack. So whether that's VMware or someone else, this allows you to start basically a year before that expiration, and you can have Morpheus VM Essentials for free for the first year, so that you can use that year to migrate at whatever pace makes sense for you, so that you can plan your exit from your current stack and do it in a careful and thoughtful way. So we don't want customers to rush. We want them to do that project properly to avoid disruption, but we also don't want you to feel like you're being penalized by paying for 2 stacks at the same time. You know, the cure for a high virtualization bill isn't to add another bill on top of that. That makes the problem worse. So we're trying to make that transition as easy for our customers as possible. We also have the Zerto onboarding offer, and as I mentioned, Zerto is a great way to migrate from VMware to HVM. If you plan to use the full capabilities of Zerto, then you should license Zerto, obviously. But if your intention is to use Zerto purely as a migration tool, which is inherently a short-term use case, we're offering 25 Zerto licenses for $1 for 1 year to support your migration efforts. So again, we want to make the cost of change as low as possible, and we want to make sure that you have a world-class capable migration tool that we know can do the job successfully. So those are some offers that were announced. Again, I'm happy to go more in depth in those on our next webinar, okay, and many others. Now, this is a view of, I'm going to combine, what we talked about with AI and the observability that you can get with an AI workload. And Rishi shared some of these things as well. This gives you the ability to discover, hey, what are the AI agents that I have running in my environment? What are they up to? How do we correlate them together in terms of the operation of the model and the underlying infrastructure to track their activity and their usage and make sure that they're operating efficiently? And so these are some capabilities that we've now brought together between our AI platforms and OpsRamp to provide an end-to-end operating environment for those workloads. Now, broadening this out, if we start to talk about, GreenLake and the GreenLake platform, if you've been following our announcements from Discover, GreenLake Intelligence is a key part of that story. And what we announced this year was 2 different types of copilots that we're building into GreenLake Intelligence. So the first one is what we call, an orchestration copilot. So that's the idea that, you can use a natural language query or instruction to ask GreenLake to do something, to create a blueprint, to provision infrastructure, to create a workflow, et cetera, et cetera. And this can be used for anything in the GreenLake platform, whether that be virtual machines or Kubernetes or networking or even cloud. All of those are included in that. And GreenLake environments, obviously by default, are typically private cloud, but you have the ability to extend those management capabilities beyond GreenLake itself into public cloud as well, because the components within GreenLake, Morpheus, OpsRamp, et cetera, are all inherently cross-platform. So the benefits of these orchestration copilots is it allows you to have a single tool and a single platform to manage that hybrid cloud environment end to end and make it easier for an administrator. Secondly, we have the operations copilot, and that's really about being able to go from an alert or the detection of a problem to be able to resolve it. So the operations copilot can correlate many different signals across different infrastructures, clouds, and applications and bring them together to identify root causes beyond just the initial alert, and to give the operator guidance and instruction on how to resolve that issue more quickly. So you can see here we're making big investments in this platform to improve the overall operation and provide differentiated value versus our competition. The other key point I'd make is that these are not just, as you can see, these are not just domain-specific copilots. They're designed to be cross-domain, so they don't just consider their own issues when making recommendations. They can pull data from across the environment. So the more things that you have managed under GreenLake Intelligence and Cloud Ops, the more insight and value you can get. Now, this is a view within our platform within HPE GreenLake for the copilots and agents. So you can see this is an example. Here, I'll use my pointer here. You can see the operations copilot. This is the interface where you can have conversations. And then what this is showing you here is there was a warning that we've seen multiple times that there was some sort of change, and you can see Copilot automatically detects this is the alert, this is the what we think the root cause is, and it can link it to knowledge base information, which is very helpful. Now, the final announcement around GreenLake that I wanted to share, which I'm very excited to announce, is that we now have a GreenLake marketplace. And this is our platform to promote and to sell third-party solutions from our partners that are tested and supported on the GreenLake platform. And this has a number of benefits. The first one is it gives our customers the confidence that if they want to run a third-party solution on GreenLake, which we very much encourage, that solution is fully tested and supported both by HPE and by that vendor. So you can see here some examples, whether you want to run Veeam or Cohesity or Scality or Weka on GreenLake, those are all tested and certified to work together. So if you have a support issue or whatever the case may be, you can contact that vendor and or HPE, and we will work together to resolve that problem. So that's one benefit, is the compatibility certification. But also it is not just that, but the marketplace is a commerce platform as well. So it gives you, as a partner, another route to market, but also as a customer, if you plan to run third-party technologies on your GreenLake environment, this is a way to procure them all centrally. So rather than having to buy the different pieces and put them together yourself, you can procure them directly from the GreenLake marketplace and deploy them into your GreenLake environment. So for those of you who use public cloud marketplaces like Azure, AWS, this is a very similar concept, but obviously applied to a GreenLake infrastructure. Okay. So now we'll get to our final topic, which is networking. So I'll go through that. And again, if there's any questions as we go, please feel free to put them in the chat. So first of all, it wouldn't be a tech presentation if we didn't, talk about Gartner. Obviously, this is a big focus in the industry of, how Gartner ranks and evaluates different vendors. As you know, HPE, in the last year, we, combined, Aruba and Juniper into a single organization, HPE Networking. And this is really our first ranking from Gartner of those combined companies. So you no longer see, HPE and Juniper separate. We're now together. And, lo and behold, we made good on our promise. We're now the leader. We're the furthest to the top, and we're the furthest to the right in terms of our completeness of vision. So we're very excited that, we're seeing, already seeing the benefits of the integration and bringing these two companies together to provide a full comprehensive portfolio, and we're getting recognition from the analysts for that, which is great. I think we all know I've been in this industry a long time. Integrations don't always go flawlessly. Some, I won't name any names, but some have gone really badly. But, in this case, I think, as a company, we're executing really well, and we've gotten some great feedback from customers and partners. And it's great to see that recognized by Gartner as well. So you're seeing, an integration of the portfolio. So this is talking about our security capabilities. So we're bringing together our SSE and Edge Connect SD-WAN capabilities together into one platform with a single UI, unified policy console, so you can manage it all centrally, and control access to applications, access to the internet, access to firewalls, and all of that in one single platform, which is very exciting. And so you can see that convergence of these capabilities and a broadening of the portfolio beyond what we had when we had the two separate companies. So that's very exciting from a security standpoint. We're also making some huge investments in our data center networking, and we made some exciting announcements about new routers and capabilities that are coming out either now or later this year. So just to summarize some of them, you can see a few here. The QFX 5252, it's the first Ethernet scale-up solution for the AMD Helios that's coming later this year in Q4. We also announced the QFX 5250, which is the fastest switch in the industry, router in the industry that supports 100% liquid cooling. That one is available for shipping now. And the QFX 5140, which is a purpose-built switch that is specifically for AI inferencing clusters. So this is a key investment that you'll see from HPE, that we are expanding our portfolio of switches, and we're building switches that are designed specifically for AI use cases. We also have expanded our HPE AI Factory solution, which I talked about at the start of the session, and now HPE networking capabilities can be included in that. So previously, the AI Factory was kind of a joint architecture with NVIDIA. Only NVIDIA switches were supported in that architecture previously. Now we can include HPE networking in that as well, which is fantastic. So a lot more choice and options for customers. Now, I also wanted to share with you how we're progressing on our roadmap towards self-driving. And often we use the analogy of a self-driving car to sort of explain the nuance and maturity of this platform, because I think we all know that there are many cars there on the market that offer some level of driving assistance, and you can see kind of the evolution. We started with sensors and to give the driver more information, and then we started with basic driver assistance features, warnings if you're about to hit something, or my car automatically hits the brakes if it sees that I'm getting close to a wall. Some people have adaptive cruise control, and some cars now have assisted self-driving, but you still have to have a human sitting in the driver's seat, with your hands on the wheel. So just like the car industry is moving towards full self-driving, the same thing is true in the networking industry as well. And where we are is what you can see on the slide here. We're really at the stage 4 in this assisted stage. So we're not saying to a customer, hey, you no longer need network to staff, people to manage networks. The network does it all. That's not what we're saying, but we're enhancing the productivity and capability of our network admins by injecting this AI capability into the network to assist them to understand problems and to remediate those problems more swiftly. So the two major announcements we made here are around this proactive maintenance. So the AI capabilities in our HPE networking platform can now recommend things that we suggest based upon historical data and what we see in the environment to help maintain it. And we've introduced new agents into the network, new skills and new capabilities, and in particular around AI workloads. So we're continuing the investment in this space and the journey towards a full self-driving environment. Now, we also have made some terrific integrations between our networking capability, Mist and Apstra, which you see here on the bottom, and the other products that we've discussed. So, this is really the key with the HP portfolio is we don't, of course, require that a customer use an all HP environment, but there are certainly integration benefits when you choose HP systems because we've made it easier for these systems to work together and for data to flow between them. So we have integrations between with OpsRamp, as we talked about, so you can get full visibility into the underlying network. We have integrations with our virtualization stack, so not just HPE Morpheus and HVM, but also VMware and others. So, if you're running virtualized workloads, you need virtual networks and network segmentation, as we talked about. That capability is now there in the product. We have an integration between Compute Ops Management and HPE networking, so you can share information between those two platforms and integrate your server and networking environment, and of course integration with the HPE GreenLake platform as well. So regardless of what type of HPE customer you are, whether you use networking or not, we're making it much easier to adopt these technologies and for them to work together and get an end-to-end view of your entire organization. That's very exciting. And then lastly, I want to share that we have published a new study with Forrester. So if you're not familiar, Forrester publishes these studies called Total Economic Impact. And basically, they interview real world customers and they analyze, in a financial sense, the customer's realized benefit from that solution. So we've done these types of studies before in other areas, but the one I'm announcing today was done on the Apstra Data Center Director. And this study, which is available for download, I'm happy to share a copy if anyone's interested, demonstrated the ROI and payback period for a customer implementing Abstra. And these are based upon real customer data, in fact, multiple customers that they interview. And an ROI of 361% and a payback of less than 6 months is pretty terrific. So this is, again, great validation from the analyst community that this technology works really well, and that customers are realizing true benefits. They also looked at other benefits of the platform, such as stability, the avoidance of outages every year, and the overall costs, including licensing, deployment, and training to implement that solution. So if you're interested in that and finding out more, definitely let me know, and I can get you a copy of that report. And the other thing I'd say is, obviously, these reports are great, and they try to pick indicative customers. But ultimately, if you'd like a similar type of analysis for your specific environment and your use case, we can build a customized TCO model for you that utilizes a similar framework, but uses your own numbers and data from your organization. So, if you'd like that, it's really helpful. It's a great input for a business case if you're looking to expand your footprint and make an investment in our platform to give your organization confidence that they are going to see a clear payback. Okay, well, with that, we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I appreciate you all sticking with me and listening. I'll now open it up for some questions. We have gotten some questions in advance, which I'll do my best to address. But feel free, if you'd like to ask a question, you can either raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat, or the Q&A section, or I'm happy to take you off mute and you can ask your question live. So hopefully this has been valuable. So I'd like to hear if there are any questions, and also if there's feedback on things that you'd like to see us cover in the future. Okay. So with that, Jonathan, I wanted to ask you about the feedback from customers. We've been doing a lot in the virtualization space. I wanted to hear what you've been talking to customers about, and maybe any examples that you can share, or use cases.
Yeah, I just missed the first bit, Harris. What was the first bit of that question? Sorry.
I'm just asking, in terms of the work that we're doing around customers with virtualization and storage, if you have anything that you can share on that, because I know we've done a number of events together. We've had a number of customers we've successfully deployed, and just curious if you have any insights you can share on that.
Yeah, I feel like we're still in the same boat that we were in probably a year and a half ago. The rising VMware cost, but people still had some with still options whether to extend or to look at virtualization stacks, and I think new virtualization stacks, and I think people are still in that very own dilemma of what do we do now, because people at the time probably had a year or two left on the contract. When it comes to virtualization stacks and trying to look or migrate to new virtualization stacks, it's not an overnight move. It takes rigid planning, migrations, ensuring that everything's up to par, especially when you talk about production workloads. So, while there is staying on VMware, which might cost a lot, there is other alternatives that we're looking at, and one of them is our very own HVM hypervisor, VM Essentials. So, ensuring that is compatible for their environment, but also looking at alternatives as well. So yeah, I think we're still very much in the same boat where people are still looking for alternatives, and we're assisting, a lot of different schools today that I'm seeing, private schools, being the education sector, and councils as well, being in the same boat. So assisting there, looking at alternatives.
No, thanks for that, Jonathan. I agree, and I think one thing that has changed in the last year is that we've had a lot more customers deploy now and see that success. So we've had some who've run proof of concepts that have been very successful, and we've had some who have done full deployments. And so I think what I've seen is that as the tools have matured, as the documentation has improved, we've had a lot more customers move successfully. We've got more case studies and references, which is excellent. And I think that's giving our customers a lot of confidence. Those who were maybe a little bit concerned about changing that platform, we're now seeing them ready to move because they've seen success from others. So I'm really pleased with where we are, and I certainly welcome anyone who's still got questions and concerns around compatibility and will it work and will it perform. Please bring those forward and challenge us, because we're very confident now that we can meet those customer needs. Awesome. And Rishi, I want to get your feedback as well, if you've got a minute or two. Any insights or observations from the Discover announcements and challenges that customers are seeing with observability? I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think one of the most interesting things that has happened is the integration of AI. So essentially, these automatic root cause analysis that's happening and that what we've built into the platform, really helping customers to root cause very, very quickly, get their solutions from AI itself, and then kind of validate them and implement them quickly. So crashing their mean time to resolution from hours or sometimes days to literally minutes, right? So that's where we are seeing the big improvements. And one more thing, that the LLMs that you can use. So we also have bring your own LLM to this particular platform. So we're not forcing anything. So you can bring your own LLM and then start using the platform with that. So that really makes it easier, so that across your organizations you have the same kind of results coming through with the same LLM, and your data is your own then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what I really loved from this year's Discover is, we went from talking about a concept to actually being able to show a capability that's available. So, the stuff that Rishi's talked about today around OpsRamp and the AI model monitoring, this is real capability that we have now. So if that's something that you'd like to see demonstrated, please let us know. We'd really like to show that to you. And if it makes sense in your environment, we'd love to help you get it implemented. So big thank you to Rishi and Jonathan for today. Thanks for joining. It was great to have you as guest speakers. We hope to have you back again, and we'll do some deeper sessions with you. And thanks for all the attendees. I hope this has been valuable. And I'll go back to what I said at the start, which is please think about these announcements and which ones may be of use for you and for your organization. And we'd love to work with you to help you understand them a bit more and show you what our capabilities are. And please don't forget, we've got another webinar coming up on the 6th of August. We'll send out, for those who are registered for this webinar, we will make sure that you get an invite to the next one, and we'll do a deeper dive on the Discover offers and use cases. Please feel free to bring your specific questions or scenarios. No question is too complicated. We want to make this real for people, because if you don't understand how the offer works, then you can't take advantage of it. So, we want everyone to get the full value from that. These are some great deals. So thanks everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Harris. Thank you for hosting it. Thank you.
Hey, Ivan, was there a question? I think I see a hand raised. Or is that a hand raise or just an applause? Okay, well, thank you very much for the applause. Much appreciated. Everyone take care. Have a nice day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.